In this video, we're going to show you how to install your AC line on your Hyundai Elantra, located underneath your hood, connecting the AC compressor to the receiver dryer. Before we start this project, you want to go ahead and have the AC system professionally evacuated by a local shop, and they can go ahead and start the job. You know, with the vehicle raised and supported, you're normally going to find a big plastic splash shield right here. Well, ours is missing from the vehicle, but you want to go ahead and start by removing that. And how you're going to do that is on the fender liner right here on the driver's side, there's going to be 3 plastic push pins. Go ahead and remove those using a trim tool and popping those buttons out. Along the lower portion of the front bumper, there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plastic push pin retainers. You want to go ahead and remove those, as well as the 3 on this fender liner as well. Go ahead and drop that liner down and set that aside. Once you have your splash shield removed, we're going to go ahead and locate your 2 AC lines and your AC compressor. Now the line that we need to disconnect is this one right here, and it comes up right here. There's a bolt. It is a 12 millimeter. We're going to use a box end wrench. Now you only want to attempt this after your system has already been evacuated. However, you may be replacing this line anyways because the system had leaked out and your system has failed on you. So we're going to go ahead and remove this bolt. Here it is right there. You want to go ahead and gently work this off. There's usually an O-ring that helps seal this to the air compressor. Sometimes you can use a little bit of leverage. You can use a pry bar gently between the air compressor and that line. And put a little bit of pressure on that and wiggle it while you're working that out. There it comes. There it is. Now just beside the motor mount itself, we have our AC line here, and we have our sensor. We want to go ahead and press in on the little spring clip and remove that harness from that. Now the lower portion of this AC line is held in place by this bracket. There's a 10 millimeter bolt right down here. We're going to go ahead and use our gear wrench swivel head to go ahead and get to that 10 millimeter bolt. We'll be reusing this bolt, so be sure to save that and put that aside. There it is. Now if you follow this line across, it brings us to the top of the AC condenser, and it's the most forward mounting point here. Using a 10 millimeter socket in our extension, we're going to loosen and remove that nut. Now this is held in place additionally by a rubber O-ring, so just gently wiggle that and pull that up and out. I'm going to go ahead and put this nut back on the stud for now. So go ahead and use your 10 mil and separate the other line as well. Wiggle that off. There is an O-ring seal on that as well. I'm going to go ahead and put that nut back on there. And then go ahead and grab a piece of tape. And I like to cover these ports. Now if we follow the hose or the line down here right to the shock or strut tower, there's another 10 millimeter bolt with a bracket. We can use our shallow 10 and our swivel head ratchet. You could probably use a regular ratchet here as well. Should get to a point where you can unthread that the rest of the way by hand. And go ahead and remove that bolt. We'll be reusing this bolt as well. Now underneath the vehicle, we went ahead and grabbed our floor jack and a block of wood. And you can see we have it positioned right on the edge here of the oil pan. And what we need to do is we need to support the engine. We're not going to lift the engine, we just need to support it. So just when that touches that pan, just put a little slight pressure on that to hold that in place. There were 3 14mm bolts, one here, one closer to the fender, and then one on the back. Now the motor may shift just a little bit. We do have it supported underneath. And along the top, we have 4 17mm components we need to remove. There was a nut right here, 2 nuts here, and then the bolt. Now at this point here, I'm going to go ahead and work the jack a little bit. Going to raise this up a little bit. You can see the mount shift as you do this here, and that's going to loosen everything up. Now follow back here to the receiver dryer. We're going to use a 12mm gear wrench. You don't have to use a swivel head. It is wise to use a box end. That way you don't strip that bolt. Remove that bolt. Now we're going to go ahead and grab those lines, and we should be able to wiggle that out. Here we go. Now at this point here, we're going to start working this out towards the front of the vehicle. Now we want to go ahead and bring our line up from underneath on the front. So in pulling this up through the front, the best way to do it is grab right here and grab here and fold this up like so. That way you can pull it up. It gives you a much more narrow portion to pull up between the lower radiator hose. Right on the side of the valve cover area here, you're gonna have a ground strap. It's a 10mm bolt. Go ahead and loosen that bolt, remove it. I'm going to put that bolt back into the cylinder head here. Just a few threads. Go ahead and work this up and out. Now before installing your AC line here, there are going to be 4 open ports. There's 2 here and then 2 at the other end. If the unit comes with the O-rings already installed, fantastic. If they come in a little plastic bag, you want to open up the bag and install the appropriate O-rings as necessary per port or opening. After doing that, you want to go ahead and grab some PAG oil. This is specific for AC systems. And I'm going to go ahead and put some on my glove here. And I want to go ahead and put some of that PAG oil on the O-rings. This is going to help seal those. I'm going to do this to all 4 ports. I'm going to lower down that back portion here. Feed our hose down. Lower this into position. I'm going to go right to the back portion by the receiver dryer unit. I'm going to install that and get our bolt started. Now, one of the things you want to pay attention to is where this goes into. You do want to make sure that these ports are clean. We already went ahead and cleaned ours. There we go. Want to make sure that those O-rings are lined up and that is flush with the receiver dryer. And we're going to go ahead and get our bolt in there. Once we have that bolt started, I'm going to go ahead and put our gear wrench on there and snug that down. And make sure that that line fits in there good. There it is. It's nice and flush. You can see it seams up really, really nice. And that's exactly what you want. And usually using that PAG oil will lubricate those seals enough to help you line that up and it'll pop in nice and easy. You want to go ahead and snug that down. We're going to install our rear bolt here on the bracket right into our strut tower here. Go ahead and get that lined up. Then it helps if you can grab that hose and just kind of wiggle it around a little bit. It'll help that bolt thread in. I like to thread these in as far as I can by hand. That keeps you from having to use 2 hands on a ratchet to hold the socket and then use the ratchet if it's too loose. Then we're just going to put a ratchet on there and snug that down. And go ahead and snug that down. Let's go ahead and install the bolt. There's a tight little area down here, so just kind of moving the hose and using 2 fingers here to, or 2 hands to get that bolt started in there. I'm going to switch over to my gear wrench and we'll zip that in. All right, good, and snug that down. Lower the mount down into position. I'm going to go ahead and get the bolts started on this. All 3 of these bolts are the same size, so you don't have to worry about mixing those up. In those hard to reach areas, you can just go ahead and use an extension with your socket to go ahead and get down in there. Now we're not going to tighten these, we want to get the other half of that mount installed. And this is the other portion right here. Just kind manipulate that jack a little bit with that motor. And you can see I can wiggle that motor around a little bit. And you can see I actually raised up that motor quite a bit. And if you recall, when we showed the original motor mount, it was completely shredded. It collapsed internally. So when we actually supported the motor in its neutral position where it was on the mount itself, that was actually dropped down a good, at least an inch, maybe even an inch and a half, where this bushing and everything had just deteriorated, fell apart. So I had to jack up on this quite a bit to go ahead and get these lined up. Let's go ahead and get our hardware installed. Now these two nuts here, when we removed them, it did not have any Loctite or anything on here, but you might notice on some of these bolts here that this particular bolt had some blue Loctite on it from the factory. Let's go ahead and install some blue Loctite on here, and then we're going to install it just like it had it from the factory. We have the paste for the locking adhesive here. You can use the regular liquid if you want. Now this here might require a little wiggling here to go ahead and get that bolt started. All right, I'm going to go ahead and zip these down. I'm not going to make them super tight because we do have to torque them. We're just going to basically bottom them out. Don't forget the 3 on the actual mount itself that we replaced. Now we have everything tight. We still have to torque it, but it's completely safe for us to go ahead and remove our jack right now. So at this point, you can go ahead and lower your jack. You see that motor just kind of shift just that little bit. It's resting into that cradle. Now this single nut right here is 70 foot-pounds. These 3 are 50. Here it is. And we'll torque down these 3 to 47 foot-pounds. Then go ahead and grab that connector. You can line that up and push it on. You're going to feel it and hear it lock into place, knowing that it's secure. Go ahead and loosen that 10 mil bolt. Go ahead and grab that ground strap. Now there's a little tab on the ground strap that kind of fits right in there. Go ahead and get that bolt started. Make sure that's in there, and then we're going to go ahead and snug it down. Now at this point, we can go ahead and remove the tape sealing off our AC condenser ports. And we already went ahead and we put some PAG oil on the O-ring seals. So go ahead and remove the nuts that we had on there. I'm going to drop this down and just gently wiggle that down into place, making sure that that O-ring seats down flush. And then go ahead and get that nut on there. And then we're going to do the same for the forward line here. Go ahead and line that up. Wiggle that down into position. And you can almost feel it stops wiggling once you know that that O-ring seal has been seated in there. Let's go ahead and snug those down. Now you just want these to be snug. Let's now go ahead and install the lower line to our AC compressor. Let's go ahead and bring our line up here. Now there is an alignment pin right here that lines up with the mounting point. Go ahead and get that tube installed. Go ahead and wiggle that. Now we did put PAG oil on that seal as well, so you can see that it made it right up to it. Let's get our bolt installed. Run that down as far as you can. Now remember, after you complete this installation here, you want to bring the vehicle down and bring it to a local shop and have this AC system recharged. Once that bottom's out, give it a little bit more. You want to make sure it's good and snug. Now at this point here, go ahead and install your lower splash shield if you have that.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.